my energies? Welcome back to my channel. Salute to you, your inner god or goddess, and your gangster. I did a few more trips, a good handful of trips. On my very last trip that night, I filtered my rides, right? So they were en route with my house. Very last ride, I had a couple, black couple, man and a woman, right? Literally maybe like 1 or 2 minutes from their destination. I'm on Williams Boulevard, and the whole ride was silent. Everything was good. Everything was cool. I'm about to drop these people off. The woman in the back says, "Oh, you can just turn right here," right? She startles me. And so it's like, I don't know, it's probably after 1 o'clock in the morning that I'm taking them home from the city, right? So I'm like, all right. So I go to change lanes and make that right turn. A car hits me out of nowhere. My car spins around, right? Because the car hit me on the back, the rear passenger side. I'm in shock because I didn't see the car coming. My passengers didn't see the car coming. I don't know where this car, to this day, I don't know where the car came from. No idea. And my thing is, how is it that you didn't see me making that turn, making that right turn? What speed were you going at that my car spun around? I'm coughing, I'm in shock. I'm just like, oh my God, oh my God. The male passenger's like, my back, oh my God, my back. I have not moved this whole time. The passengers get out. He falls to the ground outside of the car. She runs to his side. He's like, oh my God, my back. I'm still in the car. I can hear this happening behind me. I can see the other car has pulled into the gas station. I haven't gotten out the car. Finally, I come to, right? Not that I passed out or anything. I'm present again. So I take my seatbelt off. I get out the car. And I think the first thing that I did was I stood there. I looked at my car, right? And then I'm looking at him. And the person that hit me is on his phone. And I'm like, did you call? I walk up to him. I'm like, did you call the police? Did you call police? He's like, I'm on the phone with my insurance. So I turn around to grab my phone and call the police. I see an alert through my Uber app. Have you been in an accident? Because Uber, like, the car's a rental, right? They can track the movement, I guess, of the car. So they knew that something had happened based on the way the car got hit, the impact, right? I hit the yes button on the app. And then I proceed to call 911. The dispatcher answers. She says, oh, Williams and Veteran? And I'm like, yeah. She's like, okay, the police are on the way. They already knew. Next thing I know, I literally turn around and there's like 4 police cars pulling up. And I only spoke to the person that hit me once when I asked him had he called the police, and he told me no, he was on the phone with his insurance. That's the only time I spoke to this man, right? It was a Hispanic man. The officers come over and I tell them I was going to make this turn into this gas station and I got hit and my car spun around. That's all I know. Like, I don't even know where the other car came from. So they do their police thing. The paramedic talks to the man on the ground. He's like, oh, my back is in pain, blah, 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 blah. The woman says she has head issues, blah, 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 blah. Then the paramedic comes over to me, it's a black woman, and she's like, Miss, you need to go to the hospital. I'm like, no. You just moved here. You don't have health insurance. You got into a car accident with a rental. All I see is dollar signs. All I'm seeing is dollar signs. Like, like, how am I paying for this? That's all I'm thinking about, not my life. And honest to God, when the car spun around, I was like, oh, I'm gonna die. You know how people say, oh, my life flashed before my eyes? I didn't have none of that. My head was spinning. But I'm like, I don't have money. I don't have insurance. I can't afford this. I'm not going to anybody's hospital where they're gonna charge me out the wazoo. So she's like, okay, are you sure? I'm not even really looking at her. I'm just like, yeah, no, I'm fine. I don't need to go to the hospital. She asked me one more time, right? She's like, are you sure? I'm like, no, I don't need to go to the hospital. I'm fine. She's like, all right, I'm gonna go get this paper. You just gotta sign it saying that you refused emergency care or whatever. Okay. She comes back with the paper for me to sign. I couldn't really focus on the paper. So I'm like, I just did some chicken scratch, right? And I go to stand up and I stumble and I'm about to fall. She's like, miss, like, you sure you don't need to go to the hospital? I said, okay. So at that point, I'm like, all right, she's asked me 4 times. I'm not all the way there right now. They transport me and my 2 passengers to the emergency room via the ambulance, right? So I think one of the officers were like, well, what are they gonna do with the car? Somebody else was like, well, we can't touch it. It's gonna have to stay here. So they weren't gonna move my car or anything. My car is turned around facing the street in the gas station. We get to the hospital. We get to Ochsner. I say Ochsner, but I don't think that's how you pronounce it. Whatever. I closed my eyes when I got on the ambulance because my head was still spinning. And so when my eyes were open, it was worse. So I closed my eyes. They wheeled us off the ambulance one by one, took us in. The nurses did their intake. And one of the nurses made a comment. I can't remember what it was, but she made a comment about the other two passengers, basically implying that she didn't believe that anything was wrong with them. And I didn't believe that anything was wrong with them, honestly, because they were doing too much. He was already being dramatic. The moment we got hit, he started yelling about his back. So they take me to a room. I put on the gown, whatever the case may be. It was this older white nurse that's like helping me out. All I can think is, I cannot pay for this. I cannot afford it. After they did my intake, I'm still sitting in the wheelchair. This is before they actually take me into the room. I forgot this part. One of the officers comes back and he has like a ticket. He has a yellow ticket. And he's like, based on what you told me and based on what the other driver told me, you're at fault for the accident. And I'm just like, my eyes are closed. I'm just like, what? He hit me. My car spun around. How am I? He's like, well, you had to switch lanes. You had to get over a lane to turn and blah, blah, blah. So it's your fault. I said, wow. Even if I did have to switch lanes, okay, cool. You didn't see a car switching lanes. How fast were you going? What were you doing? I had to use the restroom. This older white nurse helped me. Like, she was like, I don't want you to go by yourself. I'll walk you. So she walked me to the bathroom. She went in the bathroom with me to help me use the bathroom, everything. Still in my mind is like, yo, I cannot afford this. I know how hospitals work. They're gonna charge you thousands of dollars, right? Come back from the bathroom. I'm in the room. I'm laying there like, my eyes are still closed. I'm laying there. I'm like, I can't believe this shit happened. I just can't believe this happened. I don't know what happened. How did I get into an accident? I was almost done. I was almost on my way home. I call my best friend and I tell him what happened, right? And he's like, what? Are you okay? Blah, 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 blah. I'm running down the story. The nurse comes back and she's like, okay, the doctor's gonna come in and see you. I'm on the phone with my friend and I'm like getting emotional because I'm like, I don't have money for this. I just moved here. I can't believe this happened. Like, I can't, like, the doctor comes in and he's like, hey, it's this tall white man. He's like, hey, how you doing? So you sounds like you were in an accident, huh? And I was like, yes. He was like, were you drinking? And I'm like, no, I'm an Uber driver. I was taking 2 people home. He was like, well, they said you were experiencing some dizziness. I was like, yeah, the car spun around. He's like, okay, well. I'm like, listen, honestly, I don't have insurance. I just moved here. He's like, where'd you move from? I moved here from New York. Oh, wow, you're far away from home, huh? Yeah. I don't have health insurance. I can't afford this. Is there anything that you can prescribe or recommend for, you know, my head? And he's like, oh, you can get some, I forgot what it's called, something over the counter. You can just get that over the counter and take that. But he's talking to me like he's like, oh, like very nonchalant, like almost, he has a smirk on his face the whole time he's talking to me, right? And I'm just like, okay, can I just leave? Can I please just leave? He's like, we'll discharge you. Okay, that's fine. You want to leave? All right, no problem. He goes to the nurse station and the nurse that had helped me earlier, she leaves out as well. My door is still open, right? The nurse's station is right there. I can hear him saying, oh, patient, whatever. He didn't even say patient. He said my room number. He said, oh, such and such wants to leave. And so I hear one of the nurses, well, why did she even come in? I was in an accident. So that takes another 20 minutes. I'm sitting there waiting for them to discharge me, but I know that they're good. My friend's still on the phone. I'm like, I know they're coming up with something to charge me for. I know they're coming. They're not going to just let me go and that'd be it. So he comes back. Okay, he's like, all right, so we're just going to charge you 100 or whatever for, you know, for being taken in, for coming in, because we, you know. So I'm like, okay, fine. I go to check out and I walk through the doors of the lobby, and in the lobby, the 2 passengers that I was driving are sitting there. They look fine. They're sitting there. She's smiling like nothing happened. Like nothing happened. They get up and they leave. I don't see them leave, but by the time I finish cashing out and paying my $100 and everything, I turn around and they're gone. I'm still disheveled. I'm still out of it. I'm still like, yo, what happened just now? How did I get here? I don't understand. I forgot this part too. So when the cop came to talk to me and tell me that it was my fault, basically, he told me, you know what, I'm gonna do you a favor. I don't have to do this, but they were gonna just leave your car there. So he went and like moved the car from the spot that it was in and put it into like a parking spot. And he told me, you know, if you don't go get it tonight, they're gonna tow it and then you're gonna get charged even more. So I'm like, all right. So once I finished checking out at the hospital, I took an Uber to the car and drove it back home that night. While I was driving it home that night, it was scraping. It was really, really loud. I think that Monday I called Hertz because the way I signed up to do Uber, I had the insurance, obviously. And actually, I'm not covered as the driver. I can add it on, but as the driver, you're not covered. If something happens while you're driving Uber, your passengers are covered. The car is covered if it's a rental, but you yourself are not covered. So thankfully, nothing crazy happened to me because, like I said, I would have been ass out. They have a towing service that will pick up the car from wherever, right? So I called them that Monday, I believe. They towed the car to the airport, and I guess that's where they fix all their Uber cars. I don't know. I'm like, yo, I don't know what's gonna happen with Hertz now because I got into an accident with their car. Like, I don't know how this works. Hertz contacted me that night. They had me fill out some forms online and send them to them, submit some pictures of the car. The gag is that I would say maybe a few days later or maybe even a week later, right? I had one agent reach out to me and ask me the story. I told him the story. And then a couple days later, I had another agent reach out to me saying that, oh, you know, I'm like, why do I have a new agent? He's like, oh, well, it seems that they can't find the driver that hit you. He's like, do you have any pictures of his car? Do you know what his car was? And it was like a Honda. I was driving a Toyota Camry, as you guys will see, a white Toyota Camry. He was driving like a Honda something, like a CRV or something like that. They don't, and I didn't take any pictures of his license. I didn't get any of his information. And I know you're supposed to do that when you get in an accident, but I was totally caught off guard. So I got nothing. I have a picture that I was taking of my car and his car is in it. And you can see him standing there on the phone, but I don't have any of his information. And I thought that the cops were getting that because they were talking to him for very long. So I thought they were getting something. They just came back with a ticket for me. So the insurance agent is like, yeah, they can't find him. They can't find him. They can't find any policy with his name on it or anything like that. And I'm like, oh, interesting. And he told me when I asked him, have you called the cops? He told me I'm on the phone with my insurance. What insurance? I still have the after effect or the aftershock or whatever you call it of the accident because now I'll have like really bad lower back pain, especially on my right side. About a week or so after the accident, it was really, really bad to the point where I couldn't move. I couldn't do much. And I had never experienced anything like that in my life. I've been in car accidents before, never felt that type of pain. I ended up having to go to a chiropractor. When I went to him, he was like, oh, what kind of car were you driving when you got into the accident? I was like, a Camry. He was like, okay. And he was like, well, what kind of car you have now? Because I was able to get a new rental with Hertz. And I was like nervous. So I'm like, they're not going to give me another car. But they gave me another car. They gave me a Kia Optima to drive. And so I had that for a month and a half before I purchased my own car. And so when I told him, oh, you know, I'm driving a Kia Optima now, he was like, I don't know if that's good for your back. You might have to like roll something up and put it behind because the seats in that aren't. So it's interesting, like chiropractors know, or at least he knew like the different types of seats. I thought that was really cool. They had to like put me on this machine and like put ice on my back and like let it like sit for a minute and then he could work on me because I was too tight. It was crazy. It's been crazy. That's why I'm just like, it has not been smooth sailing since I moved here. I literally had that Camry for 3 days. Maybe not even 3 days. And they discounted the rest of my rental because I obviously got into an accident. I picked it up on a Friday. And by Sunday morning, early Sunday morning, I was in an accident. And that's why I'm always going to stand by. They cannot drive here. They cannot drive here. And clearly, niggas don't have insurance either because they can't find the man. That's the end of that story and my experience. Since then, I've primarily done Uber Eats and DoorDash because I don't want to drive people anymore. That Saturday was just like back-to-back shit. Like first I almost got scammed. Then I had a wicked witch of the, I don't even know, wicked witch of the courtyard in my car. And then I got into an accident. I'm not driving nobody. I'd much rather do Uber Eats or DoorDash. When I got the new rental, when I got the Kia, I did maybe 2 or 3 rides just because they hadn't activated Uber Eats on my account yet. Once they activated Uber Eats, I immediately took off the driving option, the passenger option. I'm not driving nobody, because people love to yell out directions and then not follow them up with anything else. Or they love to try to tell you, oh, I know a way, or no, I'm not from here. So you telling me to go this way and then you're not giving me anything else to follow up, I don't know where I'm going. Do you want me to listen to the GPS or not? Now that I have my own car, I'm definitely not driving anybody in that. That's a dub. Based on my Uber experience that I explained to y'all, I'm going to have to give Uber a cool story, bro. Getting into an accident the first weekend that I had the car, paying for the rental after 4 weeks, the price just, no. And then the passengers, I don't want to deal with that. I'm not here to discourage anyone from trying to drive for Uber or for Lyft or any of those things. Go for it. You know, it's a great way to make money. You can cash out your money up to 5 times a day. So, you know, if you need money for something real quick, you're good. I had some really good experiences driving some people. I had some really crazy experiences. One girl threw up on the side of my car when I had the first rental. One time this guy got in and he was like, can you just put on SZA? And I'm just like, okay. I was already listening to something. He was like, can you just play SZA, please? I'm going home. Thank you. I'm just like, okay, you got it. Because you want to get good reviews and all this nonsense, whatever. Since I've been doing Uber Eats, the craziest experience I've had was last week when this guy sent me a message in the app like, can I just talk to you for 10 minutes? I just want 10 minutes of your time. He was like, I'm from Chicago. I'm going back home tomorrow. Mind you, I'm in Wendy's waiting for his food. Like, I'm in line in the drive-thru. Like, I don't care about you going home. Like, what is... So I get there to drop his food off and he's like, oh, did you get my message? And I did, but I'm not responding to that because I'm just here to drop your food off. He's like, you know, I just want 10 minutes of your time. If I could talk to you, you look real good in your display picture. I'm like, oh no, I have another order after this. He's like, well, you want to get up with me after? No, I'm going to be working still. He was either trying to something or he was trying to sex traffic me. And I don't have time for either of those. I'm good. So I did a thing. Shout out to Joe. Shout out to Asmar for holding the keys. He's just here.
Right, we recording, so
okay,
you got a good angle.
I'm gonna go. I got 30 days, so if anything happens, boom, I'm back here in Joe's face. You already know. Thank you so much for watching my energies. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, and keep watching. Peace, guys.